Hi guys and gals, Froggy here. Today we're going to pull the starter on my Z06 z06 and hopefully get a new one installed before the end of the job, the end of the day. I got the car way up in the air. I've got another video on how to put it way up in the air. I've got like 20 inches clearance here, so I think I'm good. First thing is to take this DEI Catalytic Converter shield off. I've got another video on that also. Look it up on the Corvette playlist, and then that's going to go back on at the end of the job. But I got to get it out of the way right now, so I'm going to take a screwdriver and pop these two, get it off. Okay, I got that off. I tell you what, those are strong metal straps. I guess they're steel, probably stainless steel. I had to put some muscle behind it to break them off. I tell you what, I'm holding this camera upside down. I'm laying on my back, so I don't know how this is going to turn out as far as the orientation on the screen goes, but that's one, and there, that's the other one. So just those two bolts are what holds it on, basically, and then there's some wiring on the top. So I'm going to take those two out and drop it down and see if there's any slack in that wiring so I can undo the, I think there's two connections I have to get to on the top. Under the hood, I'm going to disconnect this positive. This comes straight from the battery, which is in the trunk on the Z06 z06, and that's because from your starter to probably one of these two wires is a straight dead shot. So if you put your wrench, basically if you put it in the wrong place, you could get quite a wallop. So disconnect your battery. Either do it in the trunk or do it right here. So I closed the cover to cover up the connection, and I put a piece of rubber mat here also in between those two connectors and the post, just so, you know, I move something or somebody moves something, that there really can't be any contact there. That's the new starter I'm going to put in. I got it off Amazon or eBay, one or the other, and I believe it to be, in my opinion, a real AC Delco. I'll show you the box. I mean, if that's a fake, it's a pretty damn good fake. There's your part numbers. And it's brand new. Mostly all you can get is rebuilt ones. But I guess somebody, whoever the seller was who sold me that, has a stockpile of some new ones. Woohoo! So the only connections other than these two bolts that you need to get to are this topmost post and a connection that snaps on here. The bottom one is attached, and this is the solenoid. This is the electric motor itself, so that you don't have to touch that. And what I did was I pulled the 6 plug and the 8 plug so that I could take a look down there, and let's see if I can get a little focus going on right where my light is. You see that greenish connection there? Right there is the one that snaps on, and above that, let's see. Well, it's hard because of the way the camera is attached to this phone, but above that and underneath that boss right there, whatever that is the one nut that you have to undo, and then the two that hold it on. Oh, this is going to be tricky. All right, let me get you caught up here. The bolt that's closest to the catalytic converter, that one was frozen pretty tight. So I went with an air gun, an air impact gun, to get it out, because I thought, I don't know, maybe I'm overestimating myself, but I thought I might break off the bolt. Now looking at it, I don't think I would have been strong enough to break it, but still, the air impact gun got it off pretty good. The other one I got off with just using my hand and a ratchet. So I'm going to get, yeah, that's loose. I'm going to get that other one out and then see if it'll drop down and see if there's any slack and get those two connections that I told you about. Okay, pay attention now. This is why you watch Froggy's videos. This is, if I was doing a cooking show, this would be the secret sauce. This would be what you need to know to get the job done. You have to get that slip-on, slip-off clip first so that you can get some room to get a wrench around the nut. So the way you do that, you need something to pull up on the clip, which I use this grabber tool, and I'll show it to you later on, and then something to pry the slip-on plastic clip backwards once you have pulled up on the catch, the thing that clips it on. So that's what the long screwdriver is for. Oh, one other thing, I think probably loosening up the starter and moving it that way a little bit probably gives you a better shot at it rather than trying to do it while it's still bolted on. So I would unbolt it first and then get at the clip second and then try to get the nut third. I haven't figured out the nut yet. Okay, let me get you caught up. Obviously I can't film every single move that I make because I'm making this up as I go along. Trying this and I'm trying that, and then when I figure out what works, then I'll film it for you, or else I'll just describe it to you. So here's what I did. So rewind a little bit to getting the clip-on plastic clip thing off. I showed you that. I did a video of that where you use the grabber thing. All right, this to grab the release. Hi. The release on the top, and then you use the long screwdriver right there to push it backwards towards the front of the engine, and then that comes off. It came off pretty good. But remember, I had removed the two bolts that hold the starter on, and I moved the starter that way, so I got a good shot at it through the exhaust manifold. A good aim at it, you know what I mean? A good angle at it. So fast forward now to the bolt, the top bolt. Let me show it to you. All right, this is the top bolt. This one's going to come off. The other one just stays. To get at that, what I did was I put the starter back on just with one bolt, finger tight, to hold this thing because it was drooping down like that and I had a bad angle on this nut. So I bolted this back up and that straightened it out. And then, and this is the secret sauce again, this is why Froggy gets paid the big bucks. Ha ha, I don't get paid anything for working on my own car. Then I put this together. Deep socket, because the end of that stud sticks out too far for a shallow socket. Deep socket, universal, and then whatever you need as far as extensions to get to right here. And right here is where you put your ratchet on there and you start turning. Now here's the thing, and this may be the problem that I had, was that nut that I took off, that top nut I just showed you, was barely finger tight on there. I barely had to turn this thing. I really, honestly, I could have turned it with my fingers to get that nut off. So that nut wasn't on right. Maybe it was on good enough when the engine was cold and the starter was cold. Maybe something expanded or different expansion rates or whatever, but it wasn't making a good enough contact to pass enough power through to turn the engine over when it was hot. I don't know. Maybe somebody will have an opinion on that. But I do know that the stud is copper and the nut is brass. So you guys who are metallurgists, or you know more than I do about this stuff, copper and brass, do they expand and contract differently? And if they do, is it significant enough so that it would loosen that nut over a period of time? I don't know. The car's got 9,000 miles on it, so I don't know. Anyway, time for lunch. I'll be back. Well, this is where I am right now. I did for a while have the round metal connector that was hung up on the stud, so I could not move the starter forward. So I figured that out and I took that off. Now I've got it totally loose, but between this boss right there, that one that my middle finger's pointing at, and this cat right here, I just don't have the space because of those two ears that stick out where the bolts go that hold it onto the engine. I just don't have the space to wiggle it out. Here's what I'm dealing with. You know, that's the new one. Because of this and this, I just don't have the space to get it past the cat and that boss that's on the engine block. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is pulling off, pulling off this like it was a long tube header. So pulling it off here and here, all the way up past the collector, all the way to the exhaust manifold. See, that's the collector, what I call the collector there. There's 6 bolts on that, but I don't think I can get to all of those. But I think I can get to all the header bolts. Oh, I'm getting tired. So I'll try this for about 10 more minutes maybe, and if it doesn't come out, then I'm going to take a break and then I'll start going after the header. I am told, supposedly, by people who supposedly have done it, that it'll come out. The only other connection would be like an O2 sensor up here somewhere on the top side, but that it'll come out as one piece and drop right out. And to me, it looks like it will, but I don't know. I thought I'd be able to get this out too, and I can't. So the end of day one, here's what I'm going to do is spray all the exhaust bolts with some PB Blaster. I've found that to work pretty good. And I posted up some information on the Corvette forum, looking to see if I can get some advice there. And the way it sits now is the starter is completely loose, but I cannot get it out, as far as I can tell, without removing the exhaust manifold catalytic converter as one piece. I've been advised not to separate it at the collector because those bolts are all hard to get to, which I agree. And so that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. See you later, guys and gals. Froggy out. Pick it up tomorrow. I did not do a good enough job insulating that hot lead, so make sure you do when you do it. That's hot to the battery. Okay? Do as I say, not as I do. Alright, guys and gals, next day. Here's where we're at. I was going to pull the catalytic converter and the manifold as one piece, as was suggested by one of the guys on the Corvette forum. However, there's an O2 sensor before and after the catalytic converter. And to remove the piece, I've got to disconnect those O2 sensors, and the wires that run off the O2 sensors into the harnesses are just about impossible to reach. I don't know how they do it at the dealer. They probably cut them and then replace them with new sensors and charge the customer for new sensors. But anyway, besides the point. So I'm going to put it all back together with the original starter. My theory is I'm about 70–80% sure that loose nut that was holding the connector from the battery to the starter was making a good enough contact cold but was not making good contact hot. I don't know. That's my theory. So I really, you know, because there's nothing wrong with the damn sensor, with the damn starter when I start it cold. It's only when hot. And things expand and contract. We all know that. And connections can get worse or better with that expansion and contraction. So I'm going to put some anti-seize on these things and put them all back together so it'll come apart easier if I need to come apart. If I need to take it apart again and put that new starter in for some reason. But that's where we're at right now. So I'm not going to do too much filming about putting it back together. Just a little odds and ends here and there. If I see something that you need to know, okay? Bye. Okay, everything's back on the bottom side, except I didn't put the shield on the catalytic converter or the shield on the starter yet. I want to just get the thing running first, and then I'll be able to slip those on later on. Top side here, I'm going to tighten up that suspect nut using that long, or right there, right in front of you, universal on the end. It's going to be a deep socket, and then put the plug wires back, and then put the power back, and start it up. So just as a tip, get yourself some good lighting so you can see what you're doing, obviously. And notice that I taped up for two reasons. Number one, if this thing pulls apart, then it's going to drop down into your engine bay and you're going to have a hard time getting it back out. So just tape them all together. And this one, you need it taped so that it doesn't flop around on the end and you can kind of move it around and get it right where you need to get it. So I'm going to take a lunch break, and what's left is just the wires and connecting the power, I think, and clear out all the tools and then see if it'll start. Alright, well that's about it. I just have to connect the power back up. Let me show you these little protection things that I made for the power. One of these goes to the starter, one of them goes direct to the battery. And I just took a piece of, I think it's like a doormat or a piece of heavy rubber, and took two pieces like a sandwich, put them together, and just slide it over there like that. So, and it stays on there pretty good. Oops, sorry, out of frame. And then it can't touch anything and short out. So, let's connect this up and spin it over, see what happens. Okay, everything's clear. I'm going to leave it up in the air. I'm kind of confident that it'll start, but it's a lot of work to put it up in the air, so we'll try it first. Well, I need to say, wow, that spun over even faster than it ever did before when it was a cold start. So maybe that connection was affecting the cold starts also. I think, and I will drive it tonight to the gym and shut it off and then wait 5 minutes and I'll try it again and see how it works for a hot start. Anyway, I am done with this, and I am sorry I could not pull the starter out, but that'll have to wait for some other time. Give me a thumbs up or a like if this helps you out. Subscribe to my channel if you want more from Froggy, and see you later, guys and gals. I am out of here. Bye-bye. Be safe. Have fun. I'm going to start it up for you one more time. And this is not a hot start, so I'm not testing it for the hot start problem. But I just want to show you how fast the car should start when you hit this button. So ready? 3, 2, 1. Now I guess that's what you would call normal. Just wanted to give you that just in case somebody wants to compare. Froggy out, bye.